Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pies Nation podcast, where the pies are hot and the drinks are cold. Nicholas Sacco here, your host for another episode. This is episode 18 of season 7, or episode 191. If you're counting from the beginning, we're not far away from the double ton. Got ugly quickly, and despite a monumental second half effort, the Pies' winning streak came to an end with a 6-point defeat to the Suns up in Gold Coast, but with plenty to take out from the match and a 6-point lead at the top still intact, all is okay with the Magpies. We reflect on the goods and the bads of the Suns' loss and discuss what tweaks need to be made ahead of our next patch of games. We hear from the fans thanks to SpeakPie, dissect the thrilling VFL win that took place over the weekend, and speak to our next guest, the crowd competition winner. And I have the original trio in the studio in one piece: Marcus Callahan, Luke Humphries. Welcome, boys. It's been a while since we've had this feeling coming into a pod episode off a loss, but despite the heartbreaking circumstances we went down, I think the general consensus from Pies fans is that we will be okay and we'll move forward pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm in one piece, but you blokes, how are you after your flight home, Luke?
Well, I was lucky to get home, actually, on the Sunday. But no, it was a good little trip with me, Nico and Jack. We did run into a few of the listeners while we were there, and a few good chats with some Pies Nation followers, so it was good. But yeah, few drinks as well, Nico. So
drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly, of course. But a lot of fun. I've done it last year and this year now, the Gold Coast game, and different vibe, more of the festival type fun summery vibe to it, instead of footy can be so serious here in Melbourne sometimes. So, and obviously it feels like a Collingwood home game when you're there, because it feels like 80%, 90% Collingwood fans and only just a few of the Gold Coast. So definitely recommend for anyone who's looking for an interstate game, and hopefully we'll win it one year, because I've been 0-2 now.
Well, we're saying on the weekend, Marcus, it was a carbon copy of last year. Slow start. We get in front late, and then the Suns just found a way to win.
Yeah, and I think it was an 11-point margin last
year.
time.
Yes.
Only a goal this time, Nico. So a game of two halves, really strange encounter. I'm not sure how you boys were feeling at half-time to not see a goal kicked. I mean, I can't remember the last time that occurred, let alone being at the game. So looking forward to unpacking all of it, Nico, but a bit of warmer weather for you, and coming home, are you feeling refreshed and revitalised despite the loss? How are you going?
Warmer, yes. Probably not by much. Well, the nights were pretty cold.
Friday, so the night at the game, we were in two minds of because obviously we're going to go out afterwards, and then, you're trying to work out, do you want to carry a jacket around and stuff like that. And
we thought we'd be all right.
And last year, so it was twilight last year, but the weather was warmer. It was about 25, 26 through the days that I was there. So I said, we should be right. Just get away with a shirt, scarf, might just top it off. God, we were freezing Friday night, Nico.
Side by side, just up.
Thank God the game heated up. We kind of, I think, forgot about it in the second half. But I remember half-time down with Jack and one of his mates having a chat, and I was standing there freezing my ass off. So
I took Jack's jacket by midnight because I had enough, and I was just like, I need something. So you were right, Mum. Okay, yes, I should have taken something.
So the days were nice with the sun out, and obviously no rain or anything, but the nights were a bit chilly. So
that's why I don't have a tan. So sorry, I disappointed you.
Were you up there till Friday till Sunday?
Friday to Sunday,
quick turn.
Very quick little trips.
What did you do with yourselves on the Saturday?
What did we do? A couple of things. Yeah, we gambled very responsibly at the start.
I shouldn't laugh.
Calmed down at the beach later on, and just enjoyed a quieter Sunday.
Bit of pool on Saturday night, which Nico was the king of. So so calm and composed with his shots.
Got one win, so that was good. But no, great trip all around. Hopefully you can join us when we go next year, Marcus. It'll be fantastic.
And did you catch the live reaction post game?
Oh yes.
I think
you looked warm by that point of the night. I tell you that.
I think Nico was trying to remain quite professional and had me and Jack just yelling.
I could not control you two.
Still on top.
Still on top. If you haven't seen that, I suggest you get on our YouTube. It is pretty funny. And we actually did a mini Caught My Eye segment, so we might as well start with that as we always do. The Pie Caught My Eye. Marcus, sitting on the Pine, watching us go down. Who did you have as someone that stood out from the
Yeah,
loss?
sure. Not a high disposal game, as it often isn't with Darcy Moore, but was impressed with aspects of his game. One moment in particular tells me he's primed for a big September was that hanger in the first term, fellas. When you see Darcy Moore running at the ball, looking to mark it, you know he's coming back into some sort of form. So once again, the 9 disposals probably was out of place. Our defence looked pretty ordinary at times throughout this game in terms of positioning, and we'll talk about the midfield and their contributions towards that. But just thought Darcy Moore held his own, and when he was given the assignment on Ben King, did quite well. I think Ben King got off the chain a bit more when he got free and ended up on Perryman a couple of times in the first term, which was a bit out of sorts. But I'm really excited for what D Moore is going to bring for the back half of this back end of this season. And a big finals campaign awaits.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to do a bit more of the work if Jeremy Howe's injury is anything severe. We should know more tomorrow, of course, recording on a Monday night. But yeah, you're right. He's certainly getting back to that 23 All-Australian perform. The confidence is sky high, and hopefully for our sake, we continue to see him leap and intercept and take those big marks, because it does help settle that defence when we're trying to absorb so much pressure from the other end. So, yes, a fair game certainly from the skipper.
I'll go with my pie that caught my eye. I've got Josh Dacos. Now, I touched on him in the immediate reaction, but I don't think at the time I really appreciated what a last quarter that was and how he almost drove us across the line. I think it's been noted as the highest rated quarter of the season by any individual player.
Almost highest rated quarter in history.
Potentially. Yeah. It's just crazy. So 16 disposals, the 2 goals, 1 behind as well, 5 tackles. And just his sheer power of, just running through that midfield and just taking it on and not fearing anything that comes the other way. So I seen a tweet, I can't remember who said it, but sort of revealing a potential, hidden game plan that we could have used later in the season. We've sort of revealed it a bit earlier in throwing Josh Dacos into the midfield, but a timely way to do it. But yeah, just something we would have liked to have kept a bit more of a secret towards the back end of the season, but obviously now we know it's something we can utilise and use in some of the bigger games if our midfield is struggling.
I want to delve deeper into that discussion because I think it's got ramifications for a few other players in that squad. So I'll touch on it very shortly because you're right, his last quarter was phenomenal, and I'm sure if we had have gone on to win the game, he'd be looked a bit more favourably as we saw the result.
Does he still get a vote?
Well, he got 8 coaches' votes.
So
he was one of only 2 pies to get coaches' votes. The other was Darcy Moore, as you have mentioned as well.
Obviously,
Marcus.
we win. He gets the 3, but because Gold Coast did dominate a lot of that first, 2.5 quarters.
I don't see Anderson and Rao.
They'll get the 3 and the 2 on Brownlow night. 1 to Josh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yes, I want to touch on that situation because it's a pretty important one coming to the end of the home and away campaign. But for the pie that caught my eye, I went with Lockie Schultz, and he was just such a burst of energy for us coming back into this team. It was much needed. I thought his first half, it stood out because of how poor we were, but I thought he was still one of the most influential players that was wearing a Collingwood jersey. By the end of the match, only to 10 touches, of course, but he had 7 tackles, and I think 6 of those came in the first half when we were obviously trying to stop the Suns with their momentum. He finished with 8 score involvements, 1 goal, which should have been 2 straight. But yeah, his ferocity and his willingness to get to every single contest and have an impact was just superb. The spoil that he had in that first quarter to set up the Jamie Elliott touched behind, it epitomises what he does bring to this team. Not that we've forgotten too quickly, but just for someone that hasn't been able to get much of a run of it in 2025, just to see him have that immediate impact in a game after missing for quite a few weeks was superb, and great to see everybody get around him before we unfortunately found out that it was actually touched off the boot. But it would have been nice if he was rewarded with a goal late in that second term, because I thought, barring maybe 1 or 2 others, he was probably the best pie on the ground at halftime, and I just thought he was sensational, and that he's going to be such a key pillar to this team, as we know, particularly. Hopefully Bobby and Bo do come back very shortly, but while they are not in the team, Lockie is going to have to be that barometer for us in terms of the pressure that we have, and he ended up kicking a nice set shot goal in the 4th when we got rolling, but yeah, I just thought Shooter was exceptional once again.
Yeah, and he was, with a lot of missing contributors forward of centre, going to have to play that game. We know Lockie Sullivan's been pretty good in recent weeks with applying that forward pressure, but with Shooter back in the side, just feel a lot more stable. But I just think all in all, there was too many guys missing around him that we've really needed at times throughout the season to kick winning scores, and this was probably, was it lowest score of the season? just about.
He'd be one of. If
The
not,
Melbourne
very
game, I
close.
reckon we scored
That might have been
pretty
it.
low as well, 72 points or something.
Still 23 scoring shots. It was
the inaccuracy.
the
killed us.
inaccuracy killed us,
Yeah.
and it was just so funny that that I feel like that Elliott goal doesn't get overturned. We probably go on, and it ends up being
The momentum.
It was just the monkey off the back of kicking that first goal, and we actually spoke about it earlier in the year. I think it was one of the practice games, and then the opening round, and just when 1, 2, 3 miss, everyone starts missing, but you just get one kick it, and then they all start kicking it. So that pressure that comes, and we've seen once we did finally kick one, and we were there, Nico. It was like we won the premiership when Tim Membry kicked that first goal. It was just elation, the whole ground going crazy. But then you just seen we were on a roll after that. It was just like, all right, here we go. And I said at the time.
That's what I wanted to bring up. I wish you were there, Marcus. If we kicked the first or second goal of that third term, Lukey's like, we've got him on the ropes here, fellas. They're under pressure.
So what
after one goal.
After one goal.
What happened after that was Gold Coast had the footy at in their back half, and they started to go backwards for the first time all night.
Yeah, they tried to switch it.
And I said, they hadn't kicked a winning score at that point. They were only about 40 points up at that stage, which is kind of nothing in this modern game.
That much time on the clock.
Yeah, so I did say, we've got them here. Like, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to go on and win this game. They haven't been in a position like this against a strong opposition like us probably ever. So that's
You were almost right,
and
to be fair.
I was proven right because we did get in front, and it was as soon as we got in front, then they go bang, bang. But, we should have gone on at that point to win the game because I think there was 10 minutes to go when we hit the front. So it's annoying that does happen. It's like as soon as you hit the front, it's like the momentum all of a sudden stops and, but that's footy, I guess.
Yes, that last quarter surge, very magical, and especially if we had have held on, I'm sure it would have made for an even more fun night. But anyway, we will have to wait and see next year.
Yeah.
Let's delve into the game in a little bit more detail. So I do want to start with this Josh Dacos situation because he was superb, as we mentioned, in the last quarter. 12 of his 16 disposals in the final term were effective, over 300 metres gained, 2 goals, 5 tackles, 4 clearances, 2 inside 50. So superb performance. One, I'm sure he was capable of anyway at some point, playing inside midfield. Haven't needed him to play that role. Again, very grateful we have a coach at the helm that is open to switching things up when required, and Josh being inserted in there certainly did help. I would like to get your thoughts, boys, on what this does look like moving forward. So I've seen differing opinions. Matty Lloyd's already said he'd be a top 5 midfielder in the competition if he stayed inside mid. I think you could say that about a lot of players in the competition just because they can necessarily play inside mid. I think Josh Dacos is still someone that could be very well versed with his efficiency by foot off half back. He's an All-Australian winger as well, so it's great that we've got multiple positions that Josh Dacos can go and influence for sure. But I'd love to know if you feel like a move to the midfield will be a bit more permanent for Josh in 2025, and then on top of that, what type of domino effect does this create for other midfielders that are playing that role, in particular Tom Mitchell and Ned Long, who copped a lot of heat from Pies fans after this game, particularly for them maybe not staying with the speed of the Gold Coast midfielders, which I think we were all expecting anyway coming into this game. But would love to get your thoughts on Josh, where you see him short-term for 2025 and how that affects the makeup of the midfield.
Yeah, we're getting right to the meat on the bone with this loss. I think that we learn a bit more about our side because of how far behind we were and the changes that needed to be made. Perhaps came a bit too late in the game. You could tell that Fly and Skipworth on the bench were really trying to shuffle things around and get us to a point where we were able to see Anderson and Rao not get so much ascendancy into the midfield. Even into the second half, they were incredible, honestly, through large patches of the game. So full credit to watching I think, a future Collingwood player go about his business, boys.
Yes.
So that was nice. But look, Josh Dacos, I think that there's a role for him to play in the middle. I just don't know if Dan Houston has got his role down pat yet. I think Dan Houston is our best half-back, but I just don't know if he's a bit like Shooter coming across to the Pies in his first season. Lachie Schultz just wasn't quite there, and I think Dan's taking that season to really reinvigorate himself. So I think that if Mitchell and Ned Long can't show us against top quality sides that they can together be a nice blend around some of our other midfielders, you have to play Josh because he's so fit. His ground ball gets are unbelievable, and he can win it. Like that's what we've seen off the half back line. So I think that while it might take a bit of time, bringing him into the guts is a legitimate option. But yeah, the Tommy Mitchell thing is fascinating to me. Against the Blues, a lesser opposition, he looked pretty good.
Which we did flag.
But they're a broken football club. And then you come in against the Gold Coast, who are literally playing the most important game in the club's history. Friday night, you boys were there. The atmosphere would have been unbelievable. And then he's up against a really different team, not only in terms of quality, but the atmosphere as well. So I think we need a few more games just to see before we really start throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But Josh probably needs to be injected at patches throughout the game where we're really starting to lose those clearances. We've talked about it all season, how it might not stack up in finals footy. And so, Luke, do you think he has to go in for a stint earlier if we are getting dominated, or do we just park him and leave him at half back? Because I still think he could play either. It's just what's his blend inside a match.
Well, we spoke about the Tom Mitchell-Ned Long dilemma, and against a quicker midfield, how slow we did look, and some of Tommy Mitchell's air balls and
up the chimney,
which you're not going to get from a player like Josh Dacos. And I feel like if we can get De Goey back in, and you've got De Goey playing a mix of forward and throwing into the guts for those little bursts, and if you can get the same out of Josh at the same time from the back line and throwing into the guts for those bursts, and then complementing that with our clearance winners in Tommy Mitchell, Ned Long, and seeing how that works as we progress to the back end of the season. It's just going to be obviously a wait and see on when De Goey is getting back out there, and if we can manage that. But it was a game where he is it possible that we can play Ned Long and Tom Mitchell in the same side, whereas the week before we're going, it could work, but we did look incredibly slow, and we weren't winning clearances whatsoever in that first half.
So important couple of weeks for Jordan De Goey. He will resume main training tomorrow. Of course, he had the 2 weeks on the sideline with the concussion, but it will at least be a fortnight before we see him in any game situation, whether that's VFL or AFL, I'm not sure.
So it's at round 20.
So it'll be we start of round 20.
He'll have to play VFL.
So I would assume if he does get through the next 2 weeks unscathed, that he gets a fortnight in the VFL, and then we can assess from there. But this Mitchell-Ned Long conversation has been spoken about, at least on this podcast, for quite a number of weeks. I reckon we're dating back months now.
With good traction, Nico.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, definitely some interesting opinions both ways. But the point is that this was always a situation that was going to come up once Tom Mitchell is healthy. But I'm in agreement where I would like to see a couple more weeks of this working before we start to make any definitive decisions come finals time. In terms of what we do with Josh Dacos as an inside midfielder, this was a very similar conversation we were having about Jack Crisp at the Brisbane game, I believe. Was it Brisbane or Geelong? I can't remember which one, but we injected him inside midfield after quarter time. And actually, no, sorry, it was a Fremantle game. It was a Fremantle game in Perth where at quarter time we're getting smashed inside. We put Crispy in the middle, became best on ground pretty much after that, went on to win the game. We haven't seen him too much in that role since. Now, I understand he was probably feeling a bit of a void because we had a few players out of the team and that night. But I like the fact that we can inject a Josh Dacos and a Jack Crisp, and I'm sure there's a few others in that category, and place them as an inside midfielder when required. I don't think, as unbelievable as that last quarter is, I don't want to see him starting at the centre bounce when the siren goes against Fremantle this Sunday. Just, match and play and see where it does fit if there's an opportunity to bring Josh Dacos in. I still think he's a very valuable half-back flanker or a very valuable winger. And I just don't want us to be too quickly focusing on, if he's done that for a quarter, imagine him there for a whole game, and then we get a big.
He's not going to go out and have 16 a quarter every quarter.
Realistically, no, of course not. But the fact that we've got him as an option, fantastic, and I think that needs to be considered going forward.
But is he going in if we're not in so much strife? That's probably if things are humming and we're clicking well.
No,
magnets aren't moving around like that.
Not at all. Which is why I'm grateful that in a way we did get to see him. In his Gold Coast game because
as a test.
Oh, cool. All right, he's very capable. Should we be in a similar situation in the next month or so? Josh, go inside. I think. But yes,
he is too valuable where he is at the moment.
And then unlocking Dan Houston after that. I've got a bit of an agreement with Marcus there about his role and I guess him settling in a little bit more. I think I would like to obviously see Dan bit more utilised. I think he's going to be now in the next couple of weeks with Jeremy Howe out of this team and a lack of defensive prowess. So that's something that needs to be discussed as well. But I just hope that as good as Josh was, that we're not just all of a sudden having all eyes on him then having to go into the midfield, and we're a bit, narrow-minded in that sense. So,
just to round it out, the other bit of this conversation that needs to be, in terms of personnel that needs to be spoken about, is Steele.
Yeah.
And this was not the game you probably want Steele playing 4 quarters in the middle, coming off illness against 2 premier midfielders in the competition. But he's another one that has stood up this season in big games against top 8 sides. I just felt like with the wet footy, like the dewy footy, just always seems to sting us against the Giants as well. That really didn't play into our favour. So that's where the home final, if we get it, is huge, because I assume we'll play the MCG a bit better if it's wet than if it's dewy interstate, even in Adelaide against the Crows or something like that. So I just felt like Steele was probably played a bit too much inside throughout the course of the game, and it really took Pendle's coming on and Josh into the guts to ignite our clearance game, if you can even say that. Because without those two, and Scotty P was huge, he deserves his own praise for this match. Without those two, it would not have been a 1-goal margin. There's no way. Witts was having his way with Darcy Cameron in the middle, and Rowell and Anderson were getting to work, getting their hands dirty way more than our midfielders. So expect them to bounce back this week, yes. Nico, no question.
So then it's a good segue to touch on the other factor from this game. And again, something that we have spoken about on this pod, even after wins for many weeks, has been our inability to win clearances and having low contested possession counts. Now that we've lost, that's obviously going to be highlighted more significantly, hence, I guess, the slander a little bit towards Ned Long and Tom Mitchell throughout the last couple of days. This is an interesting one because we all know that Fly has based his game about us winning the ball from turnover and scoring from it. It has never been really about winning clearances and contested possessions, because if it had been, A, we would have been focusing on that, B, we wouldn't be winning games, I don't feel. Look at Melbourne and Carlton, who try and focus heavily on
not a 20-25 game,
slowing things down, winning contested possessions and clearances. They win those stats every single week and don't win games, whereas we excelling really on that defensive transition. So winning the ball back and then ensuring that we're scoring from it. So I think the problem on Friday goes down to 2 things. So the Suns were much quicker in midfield, which
100%.
Again, we were coming to expect, a bit of a slower midfield group we did have, which was a bit concerned. And their clearances were very damaging as a result, because they were going deep inside 50 and putting our defence under pressure, which usually hasn't been a problem, because the reason why we sort of encourage the ball to be won back in the defence is because we do well at absorbing a lot of opposition entries inside 50. We absorb, win the ball back, and then bang, we go forward. But the problem with Gold Coast is they were so efficient going inside 50. They were scoring at every opportunity. I mean, what was it here? So 35% of the time, was it in the last term? Oh, God, jeez. Just going. The last term, they scored 35% of the time from our entry. So we scored. I'm going bonkers here.
Big weekend.
Yes, exactly right. So we got beaten by pace, is my point here. And we were using a lot more energy to absorb Gold Coast's entries inside forward 50, which didn't allow us to have that transition game. Hence, with no Bo and no Bobby, particularly, who are great gut runners and sort of create that energy going forward, we really struggled to generate it. Also, in that second term, you probably realised we didn't really play on much from marks. We were forced to have to slow down, and I don't think we played on once from a mark.
First half was unbearable.
Exactly right. So I think the reason then we were able to be in the game was because of our forward half work and the fact that we were winning a lot of intercepts from that area of the ground, which we do pretty well anyway. And that's what got us back, I feel like, in the second half. But the fact that we're not winning clearance and contested possessions doesn't concern me too much. It's how easily Gold Coast were able to be efficient inside their forward half by turning their clearances into scores and putting more pressure on that back unit. That is it for me. Take it away.
No, that was very good, Nico, breaking that down. But it wasn't for me just the forward of centre stuff. When we kicked it behind, and there was plenty of them in that first half, they were quick out of the gates. Rioli was really good. Euland, who's the other one? Jeffrey. Like, they had guys who were getting that link up. Like, I was literally sprinting out of the defensive 50 as a back pocket or a half back, and then getting that link up kick on the wing right by you, where you boys were sitting, amongst all the other Collingwood fans, and they were just going quick and they were catching us off guard.
Well, I think the deflation of the misses and not quickly organising to get set
Completely.
up defensively,
Left
Gold
us off
Coast
guard.
were onto that and going quick. So I think as the second quarter wore on and we still hadn't kicked a goal, it was the energy dropped and, boys aren't getting around each other as much, and Gold Coast got on their little run and kicked some nice goals. So it all kind of flows into one, and then you get what you get at half time. You go and score goalless at half time, and having to try come out and counteract that in the second half. And you've seen once we did score, the energy was back up. Literally the Collingwood chant went around the ground after we kicked that first goal. So it was it was actually as obviously it gets loud at the G, but when it's a stadium full of Collingwood supporters, it was loud on Friday night.
We kicked 6 behinds in the last 6 minutes of the second quarter. So even if that's 2 goals for example.
And I kept thinking, we just needed a goal or two there, and we're right back in it, coming to the second half with all the momentum. Now, we still managed to get ourselves back into it, but as good as Gold Coast played, I still think we hurt ourselves even more so than them hurting us. I thought we defended quite well for a majority of that game, outside of probably a 15-minute patch in the second quarter. We stopped them scoring in the second half pretty much.
Time.
They had 2 goals in that minute. Outside of that, they were...
And Noah Anderson...
They weren't moving the ball with any, pace on it.
No, very different.
We did shut it down defensively.
We stopped their corridor use,
but managed to get our game going. So as many red flags out of this game from losing it I still think there are a lot of positives. And, we're not... The chances of us playing Gold Coast at Gold Coast in finals this year is pretty much not going to happen unless a miracle occurs. And I just don't think that game goes the same way if we're playing at the MCG, which is where we're comfortable at.
Yeah, and it's more likely where we'll play our finals. And I know that we shouldn't be thinking too far ahead, but that's kind of, I guess, the silver lining to this game. Is it the loss we needed? I've spoken to a few Collingwood people in recent weeks, and this was sort of like the game people thought just might take a bit of air out of our balloon. And I guess it was disappointing on many fronts. Even to the last 5 minutes, like Ned Long and Dan McStay, those misses were both very gettable.
McStay's was inexcusable. I'm sorry.
I know. So it's a really strange game to analyse. A game of 2 halves. Did we need to learn some things that we wouldn't have had we not had such a strange comeback to try and manage, Nico? A lot of things there, but I just reckon that when a team goes on a run for too long, it can almost be to their detriment when they're on top of the ladder. So given this, we're still 6 points clear after round 17. It's just taking a moment to reflect on what's actually happened this season.
Absolutely, a lot of factors, some not in our control, that I'm sure affected the result of the game. One thing that was in our control was on Thursday night when we did our selection. Now, a lot of commentary about us maybe being a little bit too arrogant with us resting players. So Brody Myercheck rested, which I think was coming anyway. I'm not too upset about that. I feel like the forward line played. Yeah, so that's fine. I think Myercheck was due for a bit of a break anyway. We know that he's starting to get on a little bit in terms of where his football career is at. Still playing some fantastic football.
Unsigned?
Good question.
At this point.
He might not be. I'll keep an eye on that for a sec. The one that I was disappointed about was Paddy Lipinski, about being managed. Coming off arguably one of his best games for the season, and still number 1 in the competition for effectiveness with his inside 50 kicking. I thought that was unnecessary. It's not like Lipper's in his 30s and needed the rest. I felt like that was a bit short-sighted by the coaching selection panel. Not that we're involved, of course, but I did feel like that was an opportunity missed in terms of having him stay in the team and carrying that momentum on to the next week. I know Shooter was coming back. I know we're getting a few more troops involved, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary to have him managed, and I don't think it was. I said it at the ground. I don't think it's a coincidence our entries inside 50 were poor, and then Lipinski also not being in the side. I wanted to get your opinion, boys, on where you felt that sat on Friday night after watching the game unfold the way it did.
Missing our number 1, I guess, key target in Myercheck and our number 1 connector in Lipper, and to go alongside Bobby Hill and Bo McCreary missing. I went into this game thinking we're probably going to have a little bit of trouble manufacturing goals, and sure enough we did. So from looking at the TV, it was just frustrating to see us go back into those 2020 vibes in the first half. Nico, how many pods did we do? Just commenting the same thing. No one's moving. No one's leading.
I reckon that was my most used word on Friday night.
Move, yes. Yeah, triple O. Yeah, Lukey, I don't know, what's your take? Should Lipper have played?
Yeah, and we're obviously not inside the four walls, and I heard there was a bit of illness throughout the club over the week. And
yeah, but that's fine to say that.
Well, whether he was a part of that, we don't know. Or if I know they've spoken about, not planning too far ahead, but clearly they're planning certain players to have rests at certain weeks and not kind of changing tack depending on what's been happening, and we are in a favourable position to do that, so you don't want to ever criticise, and it has worked for the majority of the season so far. But even I think our biggest concern was resting Lipinski, but then Pendle's being the sub, so there's our two best ball users sort of out of it, and we've seen what a difference Pendlebury made when he did come on. And I think it felt like Nick was hobbling around a little, or he's probably one that does need, out of anyone, I think he needs probably a week off he's obviously copping it week in, week out with the tag, and it probably wasn't as ruthless this week, but I felt he was defensively a bit off, and probably a couple moments we could really delve into and think, did he work hard enough there or run hard enough? So I think he either is still dealing with a couple little niggles or potentially off a bit of illness as well. So again, we always have these games every year where it's just not everything goes to plan whatsoever, and the fact that we did only get done by a goal, and it really was our own fault in the end that we did lose. I think we're in a pretty comfortable position to propel forward. And at the same time, like you both said, you kind of don't, and I've said this to a few people as well, you kind of don't want to get too far ahead on the ladder. It kind of puts you in a position of like, well, if we lose from here, it's pretty embarrassing.
That's right.
So we are 6 points clear, and I think going forward we're going to be pretty fine. But you don't want to get 10, 14 points ahead of second, and then it's like the pressure is
way greater.
Sydney.
So I think that, and Giants loss opening round we kind of forget about. The Cats game we could have stole, and this. So
we haven't lost the game since the Giants match by more than a goal. Put that into context. So.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well put.
So I think we'll be fine. Obviously, and Jack, who isn't here tonight, but he gets very worried about the weeks ahead and worrying that we're going to drop Freo game. And I think the response on Sunday against Fremantle will tell a lot. And being back at the G as well. Obviously, Freo's in a bit of form too, so it's no easy feat this Sunday, but that'll tell a lot.
It will be a good game for sure. Couple more plays to touch on before we move on. Scotty Pendlebury started as a sub, added to, I guess, a bit of the worry from Pies fans coming in, came on and had 17 disposals in 45% game time, so he was obviously pretty influential. Again, discussions being made about should we have played him from the start. I don't think it would have made too much difference whether Pendlebury was on in the first half or not, and I say that with the greatest respect because we know he's still a fantastic player for this football club, but I don't think it increases the pace of that midfield. I don't think it stops too much of Gold Coast's clearance work. I don't think it stops much of the absorbing nature we had to have as a defensive unit when Gold Coast were pressing hard. I'm sure Pendlebury would have had a bit of calmness about him and was able to maybe slow things down when required. But if they thought that they had to rest him for that game for a half a footy, so be it. I'm just glad he was able to have an impact for us when he did come on.
If anything, it was just as much that on-field leadership and coaching that he provides that I felt we were missing through that second term when we really started to let the pressure build, and the Giants, the Suns got a real run on with their scoreboard pressure. Pendles would have been a guy that I would have loved to have had out there, but not to be. And look, again, he's going to need his rest throughout the season. I'm sure, pending a couple of other injuries, maybe he wouldn't have played at all, depending on how you look at that with other selections. But he was magnificent.
He's got to get the games records.
Well, this is the other thing. This is the other thing, isn't it?
Day resting in games.
Yeah. He's all but going to sign for next year.
For sure. Same as a sub, but
no, he's huge.
Yeah, I think we spoke about it, but it's like when Pendles isn't out there, you really notice it. And when he comes on, you're so thankful that he's still running around. So
can't rely on that for much longer, though. That's the
concern.
problem.
Is that who's the next guy? Who's the one that we're going to be thinking about the same things when Pendles is not out there? So
Nick.
Well, yes, Nick. Obviously, he's an easy one. But just, sometimes I still think when Pendles isn't out there, there's just a few guys that need to step up a bit more and make his presence not feel as missed.
Yeah, 100%.
Last one is on Meso, who I think we're all pretty shocked about seeing included in the team. Finished with 8 disposals, 6 marks, 3 of those contested, 19 hitouts, 5 score involvements. Thought he was solid against Jared Witts up to half time. Definitely Witts was a better ruckman on the ground throughout the end of the match. But I thought Coxie held his own in the opening 2 terms.
It's just funny, isn't it, how Mason comes in, look, I'm not going to say he was our best player on the park in the first half, but he was right up there. He was throwing his weight around and doing Mason Cox things. And then in the second half, the team gets on a run, I guess you could say, relative to the first half, and he kind of came out of the game a bit, I felt. So, I don't know, Nico, maybe it was just like the Mac Andrew and some of the other tall defender thing. I was really surprised that he got picked, given
Me too.
the conditions. So I don't know if that was reward or as if they'd just marked him in, given the new Checkers was going to be rested. I don't think we'll see a great deal of him in the back half of the season. I don't think, Lukey. But did he do enough to warrant another selection?
Well, he took his marks, took his opportunities, and that's one thing he hasn't always done is he gets his hands to it and he can bring it to ground. But it was nice that he was actually clunking them, same as Darcy Moore. So it's good to see Darce take those marks and get that confidence back. And it was good for Coxie to do the same. But again, yes, where he fits into the grand scheme of things is a bit unknown. But obviously, if he is going to get picked, he's going to need to be serviceable, and he was certainly that on Friday night.
Yeah, I doubt we see him this week if Checkers especially makes his way back into the side. But stranger things. Who knows? All right, let's get our votes then from the Gold Coast game. How do we see the 3-2-1s from this week?
I've actually gone 1 to Pendles. I thought he just really changed the shape of our midfield in the second half. 2 to Billy. I've of course missed a couple there that we would like to see him kick, and 3 votes to Josh Dacos.
Lovely.
Lukey.
Yeah, I'll do the similar. 1 to Elliott. Kicked 3 goals, but 3 behind, so could have had a massive night. 2 to Pendles and 3 to Josh Dacos.
Geez, you haven't put Darcy Moore in, none of you. I thought certainly he gets at least 1 vote.
He got a coach's vote.
He did. Yes,
and he got the pilot
2 coaches' vote.
No votes.
That's good enough. That's good enough.
Thickens.
All right.
Have you gone with, Nico?
No, I gave 1 to Das. I mean, I know our defence was pretty disappointing for certain parts of the night, but you have to remember when Jeremy Howe went down and was out of the game, his role became even more pivotal, and Ben King could have very well had a really solid outing, future pie, but I thought Das stood up tall and was able to impact enough of the back line to ensure that Gold Coast didn't kick too much of a
still think it's that next part of his game he needs to get back. So obviously the marks and
just handball and move
defensively, but it's then the flow on after that. So
big, the 60-metre kick.
The play on the quick hands off, the kick, and that's when we see Darcy Moore at his best. And I think that's what separates him from the other great defenders of the competition. So he's kind of got 1 half down pat, and it was great that confidence is back. And now it's the next part, the evolution of Darcy Moore back to his best.
Yep, reactionary, but I'm probably giving Elliott 2 votes if that goal that he kicked to put us in front was the winner. It was a magnificent shot.
Video?
We were right behind him as he was kicking it, Jamie Elliott.
I'll send it in the chat. But again, the same thing happened last year. I got a great video of us hitting the front, and then I was like, what do I do with this now after we lose the game? But it was great. It had Nico celebrating, Jack going crazy, and had the great angle of being right behind it. So and then straight away they kick a goal, and so we're all deflated. So
I guess Pendle squeezes in for 2, and I'll give 3 to Josh Dacos. I think that's all pretty set. I think Shooter was very close as well to grabbing some votes. All right, let's move across to SpeakPie. Let's get the cans on. We've got a lot of messages coming through, so thank you everybody that did send yours through. We'd love to play them all, as we said. Unfortunately, we're just not going to have time to get through each and every one, but I've picked out about 6 or 7 that I feel like would be good listening. So, Lukey, you must have been happy to get your voice memo on last week.
Yes, I was listening intently, and I'm like, surely they'll play mine.
How'd you feel?
I was very happy once
because I imagine the likes of Colin and Jake get a little bit of a zing.
Well, I was just thinking, you had played quite a few, and I'm thinking surely they're going to play mine, and I thought surely they know I put one in, and then yes, it was exciting to hear my voice. And
I'm glad you enjoyed listening to your voice again. All right, let's get underway. As we said, got plenty. Thank you very much. But we're going to start with Lockie, who was the very first. So thank you.
Thank God we had Braden Maynard and Darcy Moore holding down the fort, because that was a Carlton effort in that first half.
Yeah.
Late to every 50-50, always having a man hanging back in the contest, happy to concede those contested balls. Our hands were poor. We couldn't keep our feet. We weren't communicating. That was a Carlton effort for that first half, and we should be ashamed.
Oh boy.
But that second half, particularly with Schultz and with Dacos showing up to play, that was a credit to those two particular individuals. Also to Scott Pendlebury, who came in the game and made an immediate impact. If we start Scott Pendlebury, I don't think we give up that many clearances in the first half. I don't think we're down by as many goals as we are, and the gap's not that big. Our contested marking was actually pretty good. It's just those little skill errors and those effort plays that weren't there in the first half. We remembered it wasn't 2023 anymore, but good effort by the boys. Go Pies! At 'em next week.
Yeah, there was a lot of fumbling, wasn't there?
Yeah.
A lot of fumbling.
But they're conditions that we're probably not going to encounter again
going forward. Very, very true. Marcus in Dallas, and when I know that we've lost, because he'll send something very short as he has here. So thank you.
Gee whiz, GWS, G long, G old coast. That's all I'm going to say. Get us back to the G.
Yeah, well, very
it's
much.
funny that we have lost to the three.
Yeah,
G
the three games we've lost have been against G sides.
Is there another G side, or
No, that's it.
Is that it?
Gee whiz.
Gee whiz.
Get
Exactly
us back
right.
to, and was that on purpose? Get us back to the G.
Get us back to the G. Very clever. This one's from Jack, not from our Jack, even though I thought I might have seen something from him pop through, but not to be. Thank you, Jack.
Hey lads, Jack here. I've got a real scratchy throat from what I've just watched and all the yelling and abusing I've been doing watching the footy. I'm currently doom scrolling on TikTok and YouTube, trying to, get a lot of mood, have a bit of a laugh, and not thinking about what I just watched. And I'm proud of the boys for the gutsy quarter and a half effort to get us back into it, but besides that, I think it was pretty deplorable. I think you boys can agree with me there. I don't know what the plan was. I don't know what we were doing, but I honestly didn't even recognise this up. I didn't recognise this out there at all. Pretty upset about it. But, it is what it is. We're still on top, so it doesn't matter. Good to see, Daniel Gorringe does have a smile, and, it's just one of those games where you just got to move on, rock up the training, lock in, maybe do some inside 50 work and some clearance work, hopefully. And, hopefully Bobby Hill is feeling a little bit better and Uncle Ian can come back fit and firing. And, let's go. Bring on next week.
Yeah, we saw Daniel Gorringe out on the field.
The water run.
There's a trainer at Collingwood that's a spinning image of Daniel Gorringe, and he was
Daniel Gorringe?
Exactly right. But he was in front of us the whole time.
Richmond Gorringe.
Yeah, Richmond. Yeah, but his position was in front of us where we were sitting, and every time
Come right Dan Gorringe.
He's getting nervous, Dad. So, one of our favourites is Irvin. I've come to like Irvin. I think he's been very good, and he's come in again with a very nice one. So thank you.
Well, it's never a good feeling to lose a game of footy, especially on a Friday night, but you just got to admire the fight and the effort. my feelings towards this game are pretty overwhelmingly positive, considering how hard we fought in that second half. And as frustrating as it is not to win, mostly because we didn't take our chances, it's always good to see that no matter what the situation is, like no matter how bad it looks on the scoreboard, that this team is just going to rally and fight and play the minutes and just keep going, play with each other. They don't drop their heads. They don't point fingers, unlike certain other teams, Carlton. But, so especially Josh Dacos could be a revelation in midfield going forward. But overall, it was ours for the taking. We just didn't take our chances, and that's going to happen every now and then. You're not going to win every single game. But got to say, for you boys and everyone else that traveled up to the Gold Coast, that was a great effort by the Magpie Army. You guys were loud as hell. Like, we made that ground our home ground, and you could hear it through the TV. Must have been so loud in person. And, at the end of the day, you can't win them all. 14-3, top of the ladder by 6 points. We're going to be fine, Some number 17 is still coming. Go Pies.
Great perspective, I felt.
I reckon when I write my memoir, Irvin can just narrate it because I feel calmer.
That's what I mean. That's when I see he's popped up with
After
one,
Irvin
I always make
talks.
sure. But no, he's right. I mean, we've probably spent the first 35 minutes of this pod talking about the things that went wrong and the things we need to look at. But you make some good points about the fact that, hey, the fact that we still rallied and nearly won the game in that last quarter says all you need to know about this team. We could have easily dropped our heads and lose that game by 10 goals.
Even despite coming back, getting in front, but then them kicking those two quick ones, we actually had the next three scoring shots.
Yeah.
So we still rallied again once it was kind of, out of reach late again. So
Why is he going to side bottom in the pocket anyway? Sorry.
There was a couple moments there at the end
quarter.
where
Dacos having
it was a very un-Collingwood-like composure in the final stages of a game. I think we had a couple opportunities where we've played on, or the Dacos one I need to see again what actually he did. Did he just go for it? Or
Yeah, he just went for it, I think.
and then Membry passing
yeah.
off when, we're at the point, so I think 69, 63, we just needed to kick a point at least, and then we set ourselves up with an opportunity to win the game, but we're passing it off to try and get a better opportunity, but then we don't even get the score. So then we get to that last 40 seconds and we're playing for a draw instead of potentially playing for the win. So I think there's going to be some key learnings come out of that final couple minutes that, we've done it in the past, but I think we spoke on the night or the next day about potentially missing just a few of those key players that make the right decisions in the right moments at key
Game
stages.
players.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that composure would have been very handy. All right, we'll smash through a few more. John from Druin's come in. Thank you.
G'day guys, it's John from Druin. Hope you're enjoying your mid-season break up there on the Goldie. Don't forget, keep your receipts. Everything is a tax deduction. Well, the boys didn't get the result, but obviously when you kick 0-10 in the first half, you're not going to be winning too many games of footy. However, there were some highlights. I thought Mason Cox did a really good effort for 4 quarters. Josh Dacos' last quarter, amazing. And I believe it's the second best AFL fantasy score in history behind Nick Rewald, I was reading. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your break up there. Next week, we take on Freo and hopefully a better result. And don't forget, we're still on top. Go Pies.
132 Supercoach points he had in that last quarter alone. Insane.
It's crazy. Thank you,
John. Wilbur is next. Thank you.
Well, boys, Wilbur here. I wanted to stew on this one a little bit, just let it sink in. And to be honest, it's not a bad loss. I think it tells, that we had, 6 of our best out. Sully wasn't up to it tonight. Young Steele wasn't up to it tonight. A couple others as well. Missed my check. Steaming out of there. Bobby's influence on the ground. And De Goey, just that X factor, I think, is just a real thing come towards finals. No panic stations, lads. Just a game that was, probably had to lose. They came out swinging absolutely hard, and we nearly pinched it. Can't wait to flog them in September.
If they get the privilege to play us.
Exactly right. Hopefully, if it is, it's a grand final. Because if we play them in the grand final...
Get tickets, a bit easier.
Well, that's true. Ahmed's sent one in, thank you.
G'day, boys. Just think this loss came at a really opportune time of the season. We've backed enough wins for it not really to matter that much. I think we're a little bit too cute with selection. You add in a Brody Myercheck, you add in a full game of Scotty Pendlebury, Elipinski, and I just don't see us losing this game. I think our midfield is something that really needs to be focused on. I don't know what happened there. It felt a little bit like the GWS game with them running rings around us. They were always first to the contest. They had more runners inside, outside. It was a little bit of a domination there from what I saw. Added in a Josh Dacos, and that equalised. So I don't know whether that was Fly's plan all along this season, letting him build in that back line, building his contested possession and his confidence to unleash him finals time, but I just can't see him losing that spot on the midfield now, especially with older players like Tommy Mitchell. I just don't see holding his place in the side. And his place in the back line can be easily filled. Dan Houston, I feel like, will take his role, and he's been crying out for it all season. So
that was it. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know, a little bit reactionary.
Yes.
I think we just need a little bit more time to see some of those positional changes settle, Nico. But some good points, just a bit more read out.
Yep, didn't mind it. We finished with Colin, like we always do, so thank you very much.
Hi, Pies Nations boys. Colin here. Well, it's Monday morning, and I still can't work out what happened Friday night. I wasn't surprised when we hit the front in the second half, but what I was surprised about was the Suns coming back quickly and claiming the win. The ball looked like it was a cake of soap to our blokes at times, with dropped marks and mishandling the ball, fumbling. And the Suns handled the conditions a lot better. But the finals are played down here on the G, so we'll see what happens in September. Onward and upward. I'm fairly confident this week. I think we should take care of the Dockers next Sunday. So that's it for now. Bye, boys, and go you Pies.
Very nice. Thank you, Colin, and thank you everyone that sent through their SpeakPies. Again, so many do come through. We'd love to play them all, and we'll try to get to you at some point if you have been sending them in but haven't gotten quite through. So looking forward to hearing them again this time next week. Let's waste no time. We're going to swing through to No Guess the Margin because we lost. First time in a while you've had to... a few minutes back, Wiki, not having to look through and see how many times.
I forget anyway, so I'm quickly. I better quickly get onto this.
Actually, true. Usually, I'm the one reminding you. Now we're going to get to guess the crowd, though. That of course always continues, regardless. And today we're going to chat to Alison. So, how far away was she, Lukey? If you remember,
it was a few hundred. Now, quick shout out. So, Alison was technically second. Winner was Brooke Newcomb. So we've had Brooke on before.
Yep.
But
a few weeks ago, wasn't
not
it?
Not too long ago. So you get it once, that's a good effort. You get it twice in a pretty short period. It's a phenomenal effort. So shout out to Brooke. In terms of the crowd, I think we all were a bit let down that it was probably a couple thousand lighter than, sold out, 27 and a half capacity.
Always sold out.
Ended up just under 23. So, potentially a few seats were still available, but we'll move on from that.
Yes.
So Alison, who actually has won it before as well, but was overseas when she did win it. So another.
So Brooke won it, but we're not speaking to Brooke because we've spoken before. And Alison
very recently, yes.
And Alison has won it this year as well, but was overseas when she did win it.
She was part. So we're going to speak to her instead.
She was part of she was part of a three-way tie when she did win it, and I can't remember the order that I went in, but she ended up. I think it was who got it, put it down.
Who was first? Yes.
But she was overseas at the time, so it works out that she gets on.
So she's got another crack, and she's our guess the crowd winner for this week. So let's have a quick chat to her now. Still overseas?
Your call has been...
Oh, geez, that is the first time that has happened in a long time, hasn't it?
When was the last time you reckon that happened?
It hasn't happened this year.
Not in this studio.
Has not happened this year. No, definitely not in this studio. I reckon halfway through.
I do remember it has happened.
Call Brooke.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, we might have to think about it. Do I give it another crack?
We'll give it another crack.
Give it another crack. We're gonna have one more call. Usually...
What do we do when they call back in 10 minutes once we've wrapped up?
Well, then,
Sorry, it's over.
then bad luck. All right, let's try again.
Well, you do send a message saying we'll call you around this time.
rough
So
time.
Hello.
Is this Alison?
Yes, it is.
It's Nicholas from the Pies Nation podcast here. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you, Nicholas?
Good, thank you. Sorry for the double call, but we were eager to get you on because you are our Guest the Crowd competition
Yeah,
winner for this
sorry.
week.
I just didn't get to it in time. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Lucky we did call back. Very good. Well done. Before we get underway, we always love to know the method about what you do in terms of guessing the crowd. Anything particular for you coming into this week?
I was a huge Billy Picken fan, so 25 is one of my favourite numbers.
Fantastic.
And then, of course, I'm a huge Jack Crisp fan, so I tend to just go 25. I try and put 25 in there somewhere.
Well, that works pretty well for a Gold Coast game where the capacity isn't that large, so very nice. Now, tell us how you viewed the game on Friday. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the 4 points, of course, as we know. The signs were okay towards the latter parts of the game, but give us your summary of how you found things against the Suns.
Well, I flew up there from Melbourne because I have a son who lives in Brisbane, and I have family friends that I generally attend the Queensland games with. It was an interesting start to the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly was.
We couldn't kick goals there for a while, but let's hope it was the loss we needed.
Yeah, well, that's what's been said. Absolutely. Well,
very frustrating.
Yeah, it was. It was funny that you say you were there because obviously Luke, Jack and I were there as well. Tell us what that feeling was like at halftime when we were 0-10, hadn't kicked a goal and the game was starting to slip away. But at the same time, you felt that we were still around the mark.
Yeah, I must admit I did. I wandered off to get a drink and everything else, and I thought, something will happen. We'll fire up. We've come from behind many times before, as we know, in 2023. So I was okay. I still didn't think we were going to win, but I thought, okay. But, the second half, Pendles came on and made a huge difference. Shooter was great. Josh Dacos, of course, was awesome. But, we fought it out to the end and unfortunately couldn't get away with, couldn't win. But anyway, that's all right. I think we were down and it was just one of those unusual games that you never see coming, but Gold Coast is not a bad side. So as we know, everyone plays their grand final against us.
Exactly
and
right.
It seems to be the case week in, week out.
Yes.
G'day, Alison. It's Luke here, and you're exactly right. I say that every week, and it was talked up as Gold Coast's biggest game in their history, so not surprising
that's right.
It was against us. I want to hear a bit about yourself, Alison, and how you became sort of a Collingwood supporter and your journey across the years. Is there sort of an origin story to it? Run us through why you're a Collingwood supporter and some good stories you've had across the years.
I'm a lifelong Collingwood supporter / member.
Yep.
My father was a huge Collingwood fan and took us to the footy right from the word go. I'm nearly 60, so I've been around a long time. And I started going to the footy in 1976 with a membership.
Yep.
And saw my first year of watching the Pies, we were the Wooden Spooners. And, of course, my second year of going to watch the Pies, we were played off in a drawn and then a losing grand final. So I've been to many a game, and wasn't a member for a while there when you have a family and a mortgage and that sort of thing. But got back into it, and my older sister, a niece, myself, and my two boys are all Legends members and have been for the last 25 odd years. So we pretty much go to every Melbourne-based game as long as we're not away or whatever else. And like I said, I go to the Queensland-based games due to family and now a son living up there. Yeah, so passionate Collingwood supporters we are, / members. We call ourselves members rather than supporters.
Yes, absolutely we are.
Alison, black and white runs through your veins quite clearly. It's Marcus here. Now, you did touch on Billy Picken before. Could we just get one of your favourite memories from the late, great Billy Picken?
Oh, always those. high flying. Here comes Billy Marks.
Yes.
He was my childhood. Well, my first childhood hero was Barry Price, and he only played for a couple of years, and then I went across to Billy Picken. So he was always, and Ricky Barham was a big.
Oh yeah.
Big but Billy Picken was my idol, and as you can imagine, a couple of years ago when he passed away suddenly, my phone. I was out for dinner and my phone went berserk.
People know.
What's happened to Billy Picken? Have you heard anything? Blah, blah, blah. My phone went crazy that night. I was out for dinner and I'm like, oh, what's happened? And I just instantly thought, well, he's obviously died, because I'm getting all these messages from all my friends, because I was, in the era where you wore a duffel coat with the player's name on your back and all the badges down your arm with all the players, and was good times. But I still love my footy, and go to it every game as much as I can.
Awesome. Fantastic to hear some of those older players that we don't often hear about on the pod, so thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions for you on Billy Picken, if you'll indulge me. He won 2 Copeland trophies. Can you tell me in which year either of them were won?
Not really. I'm too old to remember all of that.
Well, we're going to have a stab at either the 1970s or the 1980s, just to give you a little hint.
You've
got to pick a year from either of those decades.
1980?
Oh, right in the middle. You won one in 1978 and the other in 1983. So right around the time you started going to the footy.
Yep.
Very good. And just one other one from me. I don't mind a pop quiz.
Yep.
Can you tell me how many losing grand finals Billy Picken played in?
Harsh.
Hurts to say this, but it's more than one.
So 77, the draw and the replay.
Yes.
79, 80, and then 82. Did we play again in a losing one?
The correct answer is 4. You are correct.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Yeah,
I've been to them all. I've been to every losing and every winning one in my life.
Well, thanks for putting a somber note there, Marcus, on that quiz. Really appreciate it.
Just getting into the collywobbles. Unfortunately. It's part of our history, Nico, and you love history.
I know, but coming off a loss on Friday, it's not putting me in a good mood. Alison, before we do let you go, one final one from me. Let's liven things up a bit. Are we going to win it this year?
Oh, I really hope so. Yes, we will.
Yes.
Let's be confident.
There we go.
Like I say to people, people have been saying that to me. Oh, you're going to win it this year. And I'm like, I don't want to even think about it just yet, but then we have to bask in the glory of sitting on top, because that's an achievement as well.
100% it is, and that is a great way to look at it, Alison. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Pies Nation podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alison.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.
That was Alison joining us as part of our Guess the Crowd competition. That could be you if you guessed the crowd closest. So keep an eye out for Lukey's Game Day post each and every week. And if that is you giving us your closest guess, if that is you that ends up being the closest guess, that'll be you joining us as part of our pod this week.
She makes a great point around we kind of sit here scared, nervous, but, you look at teams like, Essendon and the Carltons, and they would just love to be in our position. Yes. And I think we should bask in a bit more glory about being noted as the best side in the competition, but also top of the ladder. I know we don't want to go early and we're not getting overexcited, but just we are sitting here, quite negatively as a fan base after one loss by a goal, which we probably should have ended up winning. So we move on, and
yes, we do.
We stay a bit more positive and optimistic about what's to come this year.
Got both of your eyes in at the moment, Lukey. Just making sure that you're not missing an eye there.
We're running out of time, but we do have to get to the VFL very quickly, because the Pies ended up winning a thriller over the Gold Coast before we got to the AFL game, and it was very nice to see the Pies get another victory, Marcus.
Did you guys make way early, or
we heard the last quarter?
Yeah,
outside of the
what
stadium.
Time did it start?
It was like a 4:35.
3:35.
Yeah, okay. There you go. But we did get the win, Marcus.
Yes, we did. I'll be very quick. Ash Johnson, great to see him return and hit the scoreboard. And Big Noah Howes was the other standout, kicking 5 goals. But an absolute thriller, Nico. Let's get the full rundown from the Surge.
We took on the 17th place Suns as the curtain raiser for the main game. Ash Johnson and Ed Allen returning along with some VFL players as well. The Pies defence got caught out on several occasions due to Gold Coast's slick handball chains, and we only managed 1 goal in the opening term, missing several shots out wide. As Coxrue was recalled to the AFL, Oscar Steen was the number 1 ruck option, and while still developing, he was having difficulties winning the hitouts. But his marking was a feature up forward and around the ground. We're down by 6 points only at quarter time. Kicked 2 goals early in the second term to draw level. The Suns' centre clearance domination placed the Pies under constant pressure. However, Gold Coast's forwards could not capitalise on their inside 50 dominance, and they kicked 4-5 against Collingwood 4-1 to head into half-time down by 9 points. After the break, the Pies straightened up through the efforts of Allen, Gray and Hayes, who were all pretty lively, utilising the corridor to provide our forwards with scoring opportunities. Noah Howes established himself as the dominant forward, leading and kicking 4 goals late in the third term. The Pies kept the contest close, hitting the front at the 27-minute mark after the siren goal by Ash Johnson from a free kick. Leading by 6 points heading into the final term, both Collingwood and Gold Coast traded goals, resulting in multiple lead changes, but no side was able to break away from each other until the Suns kicked 3 unanswered and established an 11-point lead at the 23-minute mark. Collingwood's hard running and intercept marking, particularly from Charlie Dean and Sam Glover, never gave up and continued to rebound Suns' attacks, ensuring that Gold Coast's lead was not extended. Harry Marnie finally scored to reduce the Suns' lead, and then Max Marnie kicked the goal from a snap late in time on for another lead change as we trailed by 2 points. So Collingwood led by 2 points. A Harry Dimitri goal minutes later from a centre clearance sealed the game. The Suns quickly responded with a goal of their own in the final seconds, but it was not enough. Collingwood winning the last clearance of the game to drive the Pies back into attack and win by 2 points. That was a very classy goal from Harry Dimitri, but nice to see us get the 4 points again, Marcus.
And from Marnie as well. That snap was unbelievable. So good to get the job done over Southport a few weeks ago, and another really high-quality hit-out with a lot of VFL players being promoted due to injury to the ones, Nico. So we now sit 7th on the ladder. Got the Cats Saturday night at Whitten Oval. Might even be on Channel 7, I imagine.
Would be, yes.
With that fixture. So going very nicely, the VFL Pies. And I think, Harry Dimitri alongside Ed Allen could be 2 that we might see as the season draws to an end.
Yep, and great to see that Charlie Dean had a good game too, because it looks like we're going to have to recall him this week with Jeremy Howe out. VFLW girls, a big win for them over Casey, 8-9-57 to 1-5-11 over at Victoria Park. A very dominant performance which sees us remain in 4th spot, 8 points behind top of the ladder North Melbourne. We also take on Geelong at Deakin Uni this Saturday at 1:05 p.m. The Cats are at the bottom of the ladder, believe it or not. I never thought I'd say that, but they're 2-10 with a percentage of 49. So dare I say, I think the Pies might be able to get another victory in the VFLW. So we'll keep an eye out for that. I'm going to hold off the game because the Sash podcast have a big funeral episode coming up after the deplorable performance on Saturday, and I'll be the first one watching that to see that downfall.
And how do our faithful who don't know about the Sash access that?
Same as where you find all of us YouTube podcasts,
type the Sash
Spotify, you'll find. Don't worry, I'm sure it'll be everywhere. They're in the suits, they're ready to go.
So it's got about 500 views for the boys.
Oh yes, absolutely. We love seeing other teams suffer. Anyway, until then, thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Luke, for joining me this week.
Thanks, Marcus.
Good work, boys.
So hopefully we bounce back against the Dockers, which we'll preview later in the week. But until then, I've been Nicholas Sacco. You've been listening to or watching the Pies Nation podcast. So the Pies are hot and the drinks are cold. Our show wouldn't be possible in 2025 without the ongoing support of the North Texas Devils. They're led by a great Collingwood man in Peter Wood. And just like the Pies have been here, the North Texas Devils have been thriving over in the US, just coming off a Central Regional Championship. And now they're looking to go all the way in the Nationals in Arizona later this year. The Devils are still looking to recruit new and established players for the season, so if any of our listeners or viewers are heading to the States over the next couple of months, are keen to get their Aussie rules fixed, the North Texas Devils are the team for you. Contact details can be found in our description no matter how you consume our podcast, or you can head to ntxdevils.com to learn more. So thanks again to the Devils for sponsoring the Pies Nation podcast in 2025.